Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. Today we're going to be going over a super OP Great Stars build that pretty much destroys everything Elden Ring tries to throw at you. And no, this isn't clickbait, this build really is that friggin' strong. So if you like staggering the crap out of bosses while bleeding and freezing them to death, then this Great Star build might be the build for you. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Wow, another Great Stars build? Oh, I haven't seen this done before. And you're right, the Great Stars Great Hammer definitely isn't a new weapon. It was kicking ass way before the DLC even revealed itself. But some new items did get added into the DLC that makes this weapon even more of a beast. I know that's hard to believe. And I'm also hopefully going to be showing you guys how you can pretty much make just about any build inside Elden Ring really OP. So tell me, what makes this build so enjoyable to use? Well, we have some amazing damage with our jump attacks and also with bleed and frost buildup. And I gotta say, nothing gets my dopamine receptors firing off more than hearing that double status effect go off. Nice. We have some pretty solid poise damage courtesy of the Great Star Great Hammers. You should have absolutely no trouble at least getting one stagger pretty consistently on just about any boss. Because we are using the Great Stars, we do get a slight lifesteal passive from the weapon, which is really nice, helps to stay in the fight for a little bit longer, and it is one of the main reasons why this weapon is just so enjoyable to use. I say this point a lot, but you really do have quite a lot of diversity with this build. There is just so many options to suit pretty much any playstyle you can think of, and just like a woman trying to decide what she wants to wear on a night out, me too also struggled with trying to decide on how to put this build together because there is just so much to actually choose from. And of course, the main point of just about any build video is this build fun to play? And the answer to that question is hell fucking yeah, of course this build is fun to play. Besides the insane amount of damage that you can pull off with this setup, the Great Stars are a really comfy weapon to pretty much run through the whole entirety of Elden Ring with absolutely no trouble. Even New Game Plus 7 is still trying to come to terms with how fucking strong these weapons are. Okay, enough of the intro BS. Hopefully I sold you on the build because we're now going to be jumping into what we are actually running with this setup. Now, first up, we're going to talk about the weapons. I did mention this about 1 billion times in the intro, but we are going to be talking about the Great Stars. I bet you didn't see that coming. So the Great Star does fit in the Great Hammer category, which is an absolutely fantastic category at that. To wield this weapon, you will need 22 strength and also 12 dexterity. When this weapon is fully leveled up to plus 25, its scaling will be C in strength and D in dexterity, meaning this weapon scales best off strength. Now for the moveset with the Great Stars, while you are two-handing the weapon, the light attack does do big overhead chops. This is really quick, to be fair. The light attack for the Great Hammers and the amount of poise that you get, this light attack is friggin' nasty, and it is a very solid one at that. For the heavy attack, you do a big cleave, big sweep in front of you. You do follow this up with like a baseball swing, going for a massive home run on the enemy's head. It's just a 2-button input, that's all it is. It's just one sweep and then you follow up with that baseball hit. For the jump attacks, the jump light is a bit of a slash forward. It is still kind of like an overhead as you bring it down, but it is pretty much a slash in front of you. The heavy R2 is your main overhead, the big Unga Bunga overhead. This is pretty much what you're going to want to use if you are like trying to prioritize using jump attack. The jump heavy is very, very solid. Now for the running light attacks, we do run forward and do an overhead slam, pretty much the same as the regular light attack stationary, but so it is nice to use as a bit of an opener to just gain distance on the enemy and just whack them one. Now the running heavy is pretty standard. You just run forward and you do like a big slash in front of you. Again, this is another nice opener just to like clear some distance and hit the enemy with a massive swing, which does do pretty decent poise damage. The charged R2 is exactly the same as the regular heavy attacks, except now you just hold that position a little bit more just to give the swings way more power. Now moving on over to the power stancing moves, and arguably my favorite way to use the Great Stars. Now for the L1 attack, you're just going to slam both those Great Stars, both those spiky balls down onto the enemy. You can do 3 inputs on this. You follow up with an overhead chop, but I find the best way to use power stancing Great Stars, or just any heavy weapon that you want to power stance, is the jump attack. You can really get a lot of extra damage with jump attack, plus jump attack with Great Stars is pretty friggin' strong, and it does bring a lot of poise damage to the table. Worthy to note that we are also using the Deadly Poison perfume bottle, but we will get into that later when we start talking about the buffs, and I know you're probably A little bit confused why I'm talking about this as a buff, but we'll get to that. Now for the Ashes of War that we are running with this setup. So for our main right-handed Great Star, we are going to be using Wave of Darkness, and we're going to want to be setting this to the cold affinity. This is going to give us frost buildup, and also because we are putting points into intelligence, we are going to get some nice bonus damage having it scaled into cold affinity. Now our left-handed Great Star, we're going to put Barbaric Roar on this Great Star, and we're also going to put it with blood affinity. So this is going to give us 140 blood buildup, which is very nice. Remember that the other Great Star still has 50 blood buildup and 127 frost buildup. So we can get frost and bleed to proc kind of together because they nearly have the same build-up chance. Bleed obviously a little bit better than frost, but either way, there is plenty of times where you do get that double status effect build-up, and boy is it very satisfying to see. So the way Wave of Darkness works is you slam your hammer into the ground and then you let off 3 like gravitational pulses which damage the enemy. Now the best thing about Wave of Darkness is that these ripples seem to apply status effect. These ripples seem to apply frost and bleed if their build-up is close enough, which is really, really strong. That this magical kind of like Ash of War actually applies the status effect that you have scaled on the weapon, which is really, really strong. The Ash of War itself is fucking disgusting. This thing hits like a truck. I'd highly recommend using this on enemies that you've staggered. You're going to get way more damage dropping a Wave of Darkness on their head than you will if you just did the Visceral. And then Barbaric Roar is just Barbaric Roar. It's going to increase your attack power on that weapon itself. I don't think it gives you overall attack power. I think it's just for the weapon that you use Barbaric Roar on. But either way, just a little bit more extra damage definitely goes a long way. Now, if you want that Waves of Darkness Ash of War, you're going to need to trade in the Remembrance of the Natural Born into the Finger Reader at the Round Table Hold. And then if you want the Great Stars, you need to take down a Guarded Carriage in Altar's Plateau. And then the other one is from killing Magnus the Beast Claw while you are doing Varari's questline. Okay, now for the armor and the talismans that we are running with this setup. For our headpiece, we have White Mask. It's going to give us a nice attack bonus when blood loss is in the vicinity. For our chest piece, we have Gravebird's Black Quill armor. This is going to increase the power of our jump attack. We have the Raksasar gauntlets. This is also going to increase our damage by 2%, I think, but also increase the damage we take by 2%. And then for our legs, we do have Greaves of Solitude, which is arguably one of the best armor set in the game if you are trying to stack on poise and not be too heavy. For a talisman, we have Kindred of Rot Exaltation, we have Claw Talisman, Shard of Alexander, and also Lord of Blood Exaltation. So you're probably looking at the Kindred of Rot Talisman. You're probably like, how the hell does this work? You're not even using poison, Aussie. What are you doing? Well, that's where Deadly Poison Perfume Bottle comes into play. So I will just show you this now. If you use the Deadly Poison Spray, which is the Ash of War on the Poison Perfumer bottle, you will self-poison yourself. And so now you're going to get that Kindred of Rot Talisman buff for 20 seconds. This poison lasts for about 40 seconds. So you only have a 20-second downtime before you can just reapply yourself with poison and get the buff again. So very, very strong perfumer bottle in a weird way. So because of Deadly Poison Perfume Bottle's Ash of War self-poisoning, that is why we're using the Kindred of Rot Exaltation to get that 20% damage increase when we decide to self-poison ourselves. The Gravebird and the Claw Talisman stack together, so we get a nice increase on our jump attack. Shard of Alexander is for Wave of Darkness. This hits like an absolute truck when you have Shard of Alexander. You could replace this with the Rotten Winged Insignia. I just felt like it was a little bit better just to get the instant damage increase when we want to use Wave of Darkness. And then of course the Lord of Blood's Exaltation is for when blood loss is in the vicinity. Since we're using 2 Great Stars that have bleed on them, we're able to get bleed activation pretty consistently. So the Lord of Blood's Exaltation and also the White Mask come into effect almost all the time. Just another quick tip as well, and further showing that self-poisoning can be really strong for burst damage. If you want to two-hand the Great Stars weapon, go ahead and toss the new Poison Hand Fist weapon in your left hand. This also provides a plus 7.5% attack power increase when poison is in the vicinity. This also stacks with the Mushroom Crown and the Kindred Rot Talisman, giving you a whopping 37.5% increased damage when poison is nearby, which is crazy if you ask me. Poison meta inbound, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't want to keep you guys here for too long. You don't want to listen to my voice any longer than you need to, but I do want to quickly show you some alternatives that you can do if you don't want to use Frost Build-Up or if you don't want to use the Great Stars in general. Some alternatives that you can take, you can use the Poison Flower Blooms twice. You can go more poison orientated, so when you do get the poison build-up, you'll get your attack bonus a little bit easier than self-applying poison to yourself. That way you can take poison off the enemy and reapply it. The Flower Blooms twice hits like an absolute truck as well. So if you haven't tried this Ash of War, I highly recommend you do. Anything with bleed on it is probably going to work if you want to switch your weapons out, like the Omen Cleaver, bleed, another fantastic weapon. I think Double Great Katana would also be really good. Again, also comes with bleed build-up, so it would feel kind of the same as the Great Stars. You got the Scavenger's Curved Sword. This would also work as a nice replacement for the Great Stars. You can set it up exactly how I've got it set up. Basically anything with bleed already on it, you're going to easily be able to slot it in with this build. Now for the buffs, they're not going to change with any Elden Ring build video that you see me do unless we use sorcery. So we're going to be using Golden Vow, Flame Grant Me Strength, and if you have 33 Faith and don't mind taking a little bit extra damage, Howler Shibriri is the next best option over Flame Grant Me Strength. I obviously did mention that I am using the Poison Perfume bottle to apply poison on ourselves to give us an attack bonus with the Kindred of Rot Talisman. You can also do that with the Raw Meat Dumpling. You eat this, it will heal you and also poison you. But this poison on the Raw Meat Dumpling lasts way longer, and you obviously just can't eat another Raw Meat Dumpling for a good while to reapply that poison. With the Poison Perfumer bottle, that poison, like I said, doesn't last for very long, 30-40 seconds at most, so you can easily just keep reapplying that poison onto yourself to give you that attack boost. So I do feel like the Poison Perfumer bottle is much better than the Raw Meat Dumpling, but if you don't have access to the Poison Perfumer bottle, or you don't have the DLC, the Raw Meat Dumpling is going to be your next best option. Now, I didn't test this at all. I only recently just came acquainted with it, but the Sacred Bloody Flesh does boost your physical attack power, and then when bleed is in the vicinity, you get more attack power. So didn't test this out, but I can only imagine that the Sacred Bloody Flesh might actually be really good. For the Wondrous Physick, we do have the Thorny Crack tier and also the Stone Barb Crack tier. Stone Barb's going to make it more likely that we break enemy stances, and the Thorny Crack tier is more consecutive hits is going to increase our attack power. I did try the Blood-Sucking Crack tier. I'm not a big fan of this. I feel like, especially in higher New Game Pluses, if you get hit, you're pretty much fucked. So if you got poison and Blood-Sucking Crack tier draining your health, you're going to get put in really bad spots all the time. So I did test this out. I didn't really like it with this particular setup because we are poisoning ourselves as well. But if you want to use Blood-Sucking Crack tier and maybe go more lifesteal, feel free. It probably would be really strong. Now moving on over to the stats, guys. Bit of a disclaimer. I probably should have mentioned at the start. I always forget. But I will not be doing a level 150 stat guide for this because it is a little hard to try and space all the stats around. So I'm only going to be doing 200 and level 250. So I do apologize. You can make it work 150, but you do have to make a little bit of sacrifice. So for the level 200, you're going to want 60 vigor, 17 mind, 35 endurance, 50 strength, 12 dexterity, 40 intelligence, 25 faith, and 40 arcane. For the level 250 setup, you're going to want 60 vigor, 20 mind, 35 endurance, 55 strength, 16 dexterity, 55 intelligence, 33 faith, and also 55 arcane. And that's basically it for this build video, guys. Hopefully this build does help you out. It was a lot of fun putting this together. The Great Stars are still absolutely king inside Elden Ring. And also, is poison maybe becoming meta now? Was it meta to begin with? I'm not sure, but having the Poison Perfumer bottle, applying that self-poison that doesn't really last for very long and you can easily reapply it, poison feels great. Applying poison to yourself to get the mushroom cap attack boost and the Kindred of Rot attack boost is very, very nice. Super excited to keep bringing you guys more Elden Ring content. Appreciate all the love and support as always. And until next time, stay safe. Peace out.